What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, we got a whole bunch of people in the group here. Welcome to So I Was in This House. And man, what a cool week. Got a chance last week to go to the HVAC tactical event and then went to the AHR, which was really, really cool. And a lot of people didn't get to go. And I think a lot of people are actually pretty excited about the giveaway. We're going to get to that momentarily. But it was a great event. And but before we get into that, I want to say thank you to that post actually, because what happened was I posted that, and then Ben reached out to me from HVAC Tactical and he said, "Hey man, I have an extra bag. Would you go ahead and offer up that extra bag also and double down?" And so now a lot of people didn't even know this because they nominated people. I actually have 2 bags to give away. Oh, but wait, there's more. What happened was Ben said he had an extra bag, and then I had the bag, okay, which again, custom design, $300 bag, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. It's an amazing bag. And then what happened was Evan, who's not a technician, Evan Hoffman, who has a podcast called Let's Vent. It used to be called HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. He has a bag, and he was like, "You know what, man? Someone is going to make way better use of this than I'm going to." And he said, "I'll ship it out." And he's in Canada. So he actually lives in Canada. So he's going to ship it out there. So I'm pretty, what's up, Adam? So I'm pretty stoked about that. Hey, Jennifer. I'm pretty stoked. Danny, upstate New York, baby. What are we doing over here, huh? I met Danny at AHR, and that's why I love going to these conventions, by the way. Anyway, so I've actually, a surprise, I actually have 3 bags. I have 3 winners. And when I announce them, look, some of you guys are going to be disappointed. I get it. But 3 people are going to be really, really happy. And I think you guys are going to be really, really excited about the people that I actually ended up getting chosen for this. I think they're worthy of it. Anyway, Jennifer said she's giving Roman one of them, but I mean, that's not, yeah. Anyway, but I do want to thank you guys. That post got reshared by HVAC Tactical, got reshared by Vito themselves, reshared it. It went out about 60 times, and I probably didn't allow a whole lot of time to elapse, but I'm actually kind of happy that it didn't. In the one day, it ended up getting shared like 60 times, and I think there was 8,000 views, 8,300 views on that video. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the love. I really appreciate the love. I'm glad I got to meet a lot of you, and my hope is that I just get to have more conversations with people, and we get to share another side of the trade, another side of the craft, and not, HVAC, yes, but also plumbing, also in-home services in general. And we get to share that and share the stories and experiences, and not necessarily from the technical side, but from the human side of what we do. And thank you, Ben. I see Ben's in here from Tactical. Really happy. And Jennifer, she said, "Thank you very much for all I do." And I want to say, like, I am very grateful for all of you who have had these conversations with me and allowed me to, and since AHR, since Tactical, I've booked now a ton of these of interviews with people that I don't think, and I don't necessarily know if we get into the human side of what we do every day. I do have an episode. Ben Poole gave me the go ahead. I have an interview that very heartfelt, very good interview. I posted a clip of it with Ben, and we sat for hours together. It's only going to be probably about an hour, but we sat for a long time. We had dinner, and I have an incredible conversation that I'm going to release with him. And he really showed a lot of the struggles and the things that he went through with building Tactical and so forth. So I'm really, really happy about that. And he has really allowed me to flourish in this on this forum, which is amazing. And so thank you to Ben for allowing this and giving up the extra bag and letting me be a part of this little journey that you're on right here. Super cool. Yes, HVAC obsessed, amazing community. I do believe that. Interesting, funny story. I went to the HVAC Chicks. Jennifer had a whatchamacallit. She had a little event at AHR, and we all got together and we had, whatever, we were having some beers or whatever it was. And Danny has he's like, now he's nervous about coming on the show. But Danny told probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard, period. And I'm not going to tell it because I'm going to make everybody want to hear this story, but it was a damn good story. Danny, you got to come on and share the story. So tonight's guest, actually, his name is Mike Montano. So this is a great segue into this, by the way. And Mike is the owner and creator of ReviewBuzz, and some of your companies actually might subscribe to this service. And I met Mike actually at Service World Expo several years ago, and I'll bring him on. Hey, Mike, what's funny is that I don't know if you remember this, but I told this story on one of the podcasts. And Mike, one night we were out, we were having a good time, and some guy, you remember the bar, the PBR bar?
Oh my gosh, I was hoping you were going to bring that up, but okay, here we are.
I figured come right out the gate and come swinging with it. But yeah, the PBR bar. And Mike was like, this guy, what was up with this guy? This guy was starting all this stuff, and Mike was like, nope.
Well, we were having a good time and he didn't like it. Remember, we were dancing with girls and he was just angry about that he wasn't somehow part of that. I don't know why he thought we were taking it from him, but yeah, you did me a favor and you picked him up and you carried him outside for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I took this dude and I picked him up and I brought this guy outside. I was like, see ya, goodbye. And actually he stayed outside, which was actually pretty nice. But that was a memorable night.
First meetup.
So Mike, I wanted to bring you on. I wanted you to kind of be a part of this because I know you're so entrenched in the community. And before I give these bags away, just introduce yourself, because I think everybody should hear, who you are. Because the reality is, this is going to be a great episode. I think we're going to talk a lot about this stuff, but I think everybody should know who you are. And I think it's special that you're on this episode because of how many tradespeople you deal with on a daily basis and how many techs interact with your, your app, with what you do.
Platform.
And yeah, your platform. Yeah. So Mike, just tell everybody what's up, Lily? Just tell everybody who you are, and then I'm going to segue and I'm going to give the bags away, and we're going to have a great conversation.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to just hang out and talk. You're always fun to hang with. So yeah, my story, I can go back pretty far. I'm not sure how far I'm going to start, but I started off in the trades. I was a contract. I was actually, literally, a laborer, trencher, did new construction for many years and, survived all that, then moved into the service space, and then eventually started my own service business, ran that for 20 years. We did plumbing, electrical, heat and air conditioning, many stories being in that arena. It's definitely not an easy trade to be in, managing all the different things that happen in business from, all kinds of wild experiences. I could definitely go on for a long time with that. I'm sure we'll get into that. And then sort of stumbling into ReviewBuzz, it really wasn't an intention for me to start ReviewBuzz. It was really just solving a problem that I had. And, I saw early on, because in my time, and for those that are not that are old like I am, will know that there used to be a thing called the Yellow Pages. And that was the book you had to be in. And they had a commercial. They said, if you're not in this, you don't exist. So at that time, I was the last guy in the book getting my ass kicked by all the guys that had seniority. And I knew without a different approach, I was dead. I was not going to survive. So I went all in on digital marketing before everyone else did. And luckily for me, that propelled my business, because while everyone else was waiting for the phone to ring from the print ads, I was marching forward and going fast with the marketing front. And that's kind of where ReviewBuzz developed because initially it was a marketing tool that was about helping companies really leverage their 5-star experiences to influence the algorithms to get found, and more importantly, to actually convert customers to call them, because without reviews, naturally people wouldn't convert as easily. And that's when ReviewBuzz was born. And so that's kind of my story without going too deep.
So break it down.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to rewind the clock 10 years. I worked for an outfit that actually used ReviewBuzz. And it was like, hey guys, at the time, right? It was like, hey, you go out to a call and make sure these guys are leaving. Like it made sure it connected that customer to whatever review platform they could use. And that's how that happened. And we utilized it and it blew up. I mean, it blew up the business. I mean, you saw it. It was incredible. And it got us in more houses, and people were like, oh yeah, I read your reviews. And it was very easy for the technicians to use too, right? They'd go in. So it was very interactive, very, very cool. Danny Molzette says, Yellow Pages, I use those as booster seats still.
They could be worth a lot of money right now. I wish I had an extra set, because I love to be able to use those as a prop, but I can't find any anywhere.
Hey, Joe Francisco, has the winner been announced yet? No, the winner's not been announced yet. I'm gonna reveal the winners. I'm gonna do it. I just wanted to introduce Mike because I think it was important, and the amount of technicians that he has interacted with, that he's affected. I thought that it was really important to make sure that he was on here when I revealed, who was, HVAC Tactical goes, no, everyone's on the edge of the seats. All right, Mike, here's what we're going to do. I hope you guys don't bow out afterwards. I hope you stick around either way. All right. So, we had one bag that we started with, and then we ended up with 2 bags because Ben ponied up a bag, and then we got a 3rd bag. So we have 3. Okay. So it was very difficult reading through who to decide to choose, but it became very evidently clear. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to announce the first winner of the first bag is, I can't, for some reason, I can't. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. All right. The first winner of the first bag, goes to a gentleman by the name of Matt Spradley. Matt Spradley. Okay. Matt Spradley posted that he actually could not go to the tactical event, and he had to sell his ticket. He had to sell his ticket, so he couldn't go. But the reason why I chose Matt was because, and I'm going to share the screen here. The reason why I chose Matt is because when I went and I checked him out, man, the guy's a U.S. Army veteran, and I thought to myself, like, how cool. There's a vet on here. He served our country. And so I'm going ahead and serving you, man. So Matt, congratulations. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you. And it became clear because you couldn't go to the event. So that was really interesting. That was really cool. Okay. The second winner, and we're going to follow a theme here. Okay. This was nominated. This individual so Matt was nominated by himself. He's the only one that was nominated by himself that I thought that made sense. The second winner is Lil, the HVAC artist. And the reason why I chose Lil, the HVAC artist, was because, again, and I want to show this, and I hope you can see this. Okay. Another veteran. Okay. Served our country. And I thought that was just incredible. And the words that Jennifer had to say about you was really incredible. And you really deserve this bag. So that was another reason why I decided to choose Lil. So Lil, I'm really happy to get you this bag. It sounds to me like, I mean, you just have A great future in front of you. And Jennifer speaks amazingly about you. And so that was the second winner. Okay. The third winner, okay, we're going to go with, this is really interesting. When I was at HVACR, I met an individual that was from Mexico, and he came all the way out from Mexico and came to the HAHR event. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And we started talking, and he started talking through Google Translate to me because I don't really understand too much Spanish, right? So we formed this, like, I don't know, a little like whatever. Well, lo and behold, as I was looking at the people that were being nominated, he didn't nominate himself. He went in there and he nominated another individual. And he nominated a person by the name of Luis Loza. And I will tell you why I chose this guy, Luis Loza. He couldn't go to the tactical event, and he couldn't go to the tactical awards or anything because he was out cleaning up the fires in LA. So that was like when he said, like, he was out there, cleaning up the fire. I said, okay, I gotta get this guy back. So all three people that were chosen were first responders. You know what? And if you're watching and you didn't win the bags, I'm sorry. But to me, I said, this just makes the absolute most amount of sense. And I'd love to hear thoughts in the chat. I think it's exciting here. Yeah. HVA Chicks Coalition said it's your year, baby. Thanks, Everett. Yeah. So I think everybody's okay with these three. Is everybody okay with these three, please? Okay. I think these were appropriate people. Mike, what happened, man? You lost your Wi-Fi signal?
Man, I've had the worst experience with internet. My cable's out, so I'm literally on a personal hotspot. But we should be okay.
Liliana, I need everybody to send me their address. I'll have to send a message to the other guys. But yeah. So to get on, and Mike, I'm sorry to hijack the timing worked out, but I'm glad there's people here. So Mike, you started this thing, right? And now it's evolved. And where are you at now? Like, what's happening now?
Well, I mean, I'm living the dream right now. I mean, I think as a young entrepreneur, when I was 23 years old and up against it, it was one of the things when I was so young. Like, I remember going to a conference, and this guy was like really motivating, a speaker, and I just really loved everything he was saying. I'm like, man, I want to be like this guy. And I walked up to him and I told him I was just going to start a company. And he looked at me and he kind of like scoffed. He's like, dude, go buy a Sawzall, kid. Like, he wanted nothing to do with me because he thought I was too young, too inexperienced, and just didn't want to waste his time. And I look back at that moment and I realize now, like, I never want to be like that. I always want to be there for my friends and for the people in the industry, because I know firsthand that it's a struggle. No matter, how big you are, how small you are, it's a battle. Technicians, have a hard job, man. And they got to sell, they got to install, they got to, deal with customers, they got to deal with callbacks on airs, they got to go out at night, weekends. I mean, this business knows no boundaries. Owners obviously have a lot of the same problems, and I can tell you, it's a rough industry to be in. And if you make it through it, you're a warrior, because there's no way out. There's no way to get through this industry without being a warrior, because it's a battle every single day. I'm sure you all can appreciate it. So where am I at now? I'm just trying to help people, Yeah.
So bring it back for a second here. Let's rewind the clock. So ReviewBuzz has how many companies currently use ReviewBuzz?
I don't typically reveal the quantity, but several thousand. But we have definitely like tens of thousands of technicians that are in the app and using it on a daily basis. So that's, yeah.
And what's the best practice? Like, if there's a company out there and they use ReviewBuzz, what's the best kind of way to go about it? Like, what do you think of the best practices? Like when you're approaching, let's say you're approaching a homeowner, what do you think the best sort of approach is to be like, hey, you utilize this tool?
Well, I mean, I think there's different levels. I mean, I think there's white belts and then there's black belts. I mean, if we're going to jump right to black belts and saying, hey, here's the optimal way to actually ask for a review, it's typically before you even have to ask, right? So it's always should be done at the front door before you, before you even actually engage, right? So as an example, Mrs. Jones, my job today is to create a 5-star experience. If I do a good job today, would you help me out and write me a review? It would mean a lot. Right away, you plant the seed. And now the customer's like honestly relieved because now they're like, wow, this guy's going to work hard to earn a review and kind of let their guard down. So to me, that's the black belt, the ninja status. But not every technician is ready to go at it that hard, right? To go at it that upfront. In fact, one of the biggest challenges I think that most technicians have is they don't want to like ask for for a kind of an awkward, favor, right? Would you mind leaving me a review? They kind of feel like it's selfish or they feel like it's asking too much. Some guys, I'm not saying all. I mean, I've had
let me ask the people who are watching, does anybody feel like they are hesitant to ask their customers who have invited them into their building or home for a review? That'd be interesting. I'd be interesting to hear that. But so Mike, go ahead. So you got people who are a little bit hesitant, and then you got people who are black belts in it, and they go right for the jugular. Like, hey, if I provide you a good service today, would you go ahead and leave me a 5-star review?
Yeah. I think, for those that are like the next level black belts, they're not just doing it because they want to, get a review. They're doing it because they want to create a portfolio of reviews for themselves. Because ultimately, I've seen the guys we have technicians that have literally 500 reviews.
And then people request them. And then people request them.
Well, I don't know. I'm not in the business. I don't know how often that happens, but there's no doubt that does happen. Because if I'm a consumer, I'm looking down the list of reviews and I keep seeing the same guy's name, I'm going to ask for the guy. You know what I mean? But that's just who I am because I know the industry that well. Because we know that, as an example, I always tell the story is if my mom had friends that would constantly be referred to me. And my mom called, hey, my friend's, going to be calling you. Better believe I sent my best guy to that customer's home because the last thing I wanted was a bad experience, right? My mom, is preferring me business. I got to make sure we deliver. So I think the same thing is true for any consumer, or any company. They're going to want to send their best guys to satisfy the customer. So when it comes to like, what can you do to really get the most reviews and really turn this into a machine? It's like really about getting your people to understand this is not just about getting a review for the company, it's about basically building a portfolio of reviews for themselves. Because I'll get into that in a minute, but there was a run-on that I had with a $9 million a year guy that the key was just that. So I don't know how many sales guys are on the call right now, but $9 billion a year in HVAC is like unimaginable, right? So, but yeah, I think it's just a lot to it.
Well, and I'm a belief, and I don't, and listen, you can disagree with me. I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. I don't care if you're a doctor. Okay. In some way, somehow a transaction is taking place. And in some way we are all selling ourselves. So everything, and even if you're the most technically minded person in the world, and all you want to do is put your head down and, fix a, blower motor. It doesn't matter. The reality is that I think we're all in the business, right? Of marketing yourself, of selling yourself in some sort of way. So, and we know that like in this world, people are looking at reviews all day, every day. I mean, that's what there's like professional people, reviewers. HVAC Tactical says you'd be surprised what you get if you just asked. Ben, I mean, you couldn't have said it better, of course. HVAC Obsessed says, if you don't feel right asking for the review, you didn't do your best service to your customer. And then Tactical says, asking for a review and asking for a 5-star review are two different things. Ooh, that's actually very good. I like that approach. Yeah.
I would comment on that. I just think this is one thing I've noticed, just jump in on that one, because there's definitely two things you can do, right? You can do it the right way. I don't know why that every time I use balloons come up out of anyone I use the word too, but if you do it in a way where you don't earn it and you demand it, that is really not good. And I've seen technicians, demand a 5-star review, and no one wants to be told how to leave a review. I mean, that's just bad. It's bad etiquette, So I would highly recommend that we are cautious when we're doing this, because at the end of the day, if you haven't earned that review, like one of the other people said, you haven't earned the right to ask for it.
Right, but it's okay to say, like, if I have not earned that 5-star review, you let me know.
That's a good one up front. Yeah. I want my goal is that, but be careful. At the end of the day, if you're authentic and you really care about your customer, you shouldn't have to tell them what kind of review to write you, because you should be able to, like, without a question,
it should come organically. They should leave you a 5-star review. Danny says, we have our guys wear a noticeable badge with a QR code, and it gets the customer to ask what it is. Then we tell them we strive for 5-star service, and they scan the code and leave a review. That's amazing. I love that. That's really cool. HVAC Tactical has to defend himself here. He's saying, to be clear, I wouldn't ask for a 5-star review. Hey, Ben, if you want to be a part of this conversation, let me know and I'll send you a link and you can come on. Like, seriously, like, you can be a part of this conversation. Esco HVAC says, what about asking a tenant for a review? Why not? I say, why not? If it's a 5-star review, like, put it on there. Like, this guy came in, he serviced my house, did a great job. I don't think the people that are reading the reviews know that it was the tenant and not the actual landlord, right? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear a story, I can tell you a story about that.
I want to hear it.
This is about stories, right? And it's actually a good one. And it's funny enough, because we're talking about the PBR bar. This story was about PBR, past Blue Ribbon. So basically what happened was, so obviously I'm in the review game. I owned my company simultaneously while having ReviewBuzz, and I'm out speaking in front of companies all the time. And I had a low Yelp review score. Like, I was having, like, everyone having a challenge on Yelp. And I had this lady who wrote me a scathing review, like I was a bad human. How could I do this to people? And just horrible, scathing. I mean, it was like this long about, I'm just a bad human. And so I reached out to her via, direct message or publicly first. Hey, I'm sorry I had that experience. Kind of fell on the sword. I said, look, I want to make this right. I private messaged her. Here's my mobile number. Please, let's talk. She connected with me. She was angry. And I'm like, please let me come out. I want to visit you. I want to make this right. Whatever I can do to make this right. And so she's like, okay, you come over, but bring me over a 12-pack of PBR. Literally, I swear on everything. That's literally what she wanted. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out to your house and hand deliver a refund and her PBR. And we sat and we talked, and she had, 1,000 cats. So she was a little bit off on that front. But the thing that I learned about the situation was my technician was selling her tenant, and that's what pissed her off. That's what upset her, because her tenant got nervous about her electrical panel, and it created, a little bit of stress for her because she had to calm her tenant down. So it kind of ties into the whole tenant landlord thing. As technicians, obviously, you want to be careful if you're talking to a tenant and not trying to sell the tenant, because obviously who's paying the bill isn't typically the tenant, it's the landlord. So in that situation, as an owner of a business, I never would have known that was the real problem, because I never would have understood the pain that we caused this, landlord, because her tenant was worried about her electrical panel. So, yeah, that's the story of the PBR.
I would have drank the PBR. Danny says, Ben, the award show, I would give a 10-star review. So Mike, you're working on some cool stuff, man. Like right? Like I don't know what's, like, allowed to be talked about and what's not allowed to be talked about, because you've got things that you're developing. I mean, like you said, you've got thousands of customers that use your service. What can you tell us about what the future looks like? Because apparently you've got some really cool, really cool tools coming out.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because it's wonderful to have this conversation. So in prepping for this conversation, I was looking back and thinking about all the stories and all, 20 years of my business, and then having this business for 13 years now. been heavily entrenched around great people and had great experience. But the one experience that was without a doubt the most like impactful was my ride along with a $9 million a year guy. This guy, you know, I saw his W-2. He's a sales guy, residential service sales. He made over $875,000 that year, and he showed me his W-2. I mean, as a salesperson, that's an HVAC. That's absolutely like, wow, right? So success leaves clues. So I wanted to learn from him and understand what was he doing. And the thing that I experienced about that, you know, that week was that relevancy is king. The more relevant you are with your customer about what's important to them, the more impact you're going to have and the more trust you're going to create. I think we're in a trust recession. Nobody trusts anybody anymore because everything is potentially manipulated, right? Everything is potentially, you know, edited and
right. You could have fake review. You could have fake reviews. You could, yeah, create a persona of your company that doesn't really exist. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so everything is kind of filtered through, you know, reviews. That's why they're so impactful today. They're even more impactful today than they ever have been. So when I was with him, what he was doing at the time was he was literally getting his reviews and he was mapping it to a map and then having those reviews map pinned. I mean, this took a lot of work for him to get this done, but he was showing the reviews, not just reviews from neighbors. I'm sorry, from reviews from, you know, from Google, but reviews from the neighbors. And so when I realized what he was doing, I'm like, holy crap, we can make that a lot more simpler, right? We can use technology and actually layer reviews and tag them to an address. So that way, as a service technician, as a salesperson, you can actually be at the kitchen table and say, Mrs. Jones, by the way, we've gotten some work we've done here across, you know, the ways, you know, in your neighborhood, maybe in across the street. That is relevant to your customer. The other thing that's relevant to your customer is you as a service person. Like Mrs. Jones, again, this is where it could be. I'd be curious to ask this question. If you were a technician, how do you feel about sharing your reviews? Because in my head, I'm like, you should tell the world about your reviews because like it means you care, right? It means that you are like there to serve, right? You're there to like show.
So you're saying, So you're saying if you're a tech, right? Like, how many techs are out there sharing their personal reviews?
And would you? Would that be something you'd actually do?
Why wouldn't you? Is the question.
I don't know. My theory is that they would, but this is something we're building right now, and it's actually developed and it's working. Anybody who'd want to try this out, I'll hook you up because like what I want, truthfully, I didn't even think this would even be a possibility. But yes, my customers are the ones who pay me, but my real customers are the technicians. If I can make your job easier as a technician by helping you close more at a higher percentage, I am like more happy than you could ever imagine because that's a problem that your company will pay a lot of money for. So if I can help you, you know, like the whole Jerry Maguire thing.
Right now, what you're saying is you'd like somebody to guinea pig this idea, right? Is that what you're saying?
I want someone who's in to win, right? Maybe they already have a lot of reviews. I can go pull those reviews and drop it in their portfolio, and they can be using these badges, you know, by next week. It would have their picture on it. It'd have their company Google review on it, and they would have all their reviews, their portfolio reviews. And soon we'll be able to map those reviews to neighbors as well, so they can actually showcase not just reviews for themselves, but showcase reviews from neighbors. So to me, that is relevancy, right? That is a $9 million a year recipe. If you want to actually, you know, create more sales or close more sales, then you definitely would want to leverage it. It's like the old days, right? Remember the brag books? Again, I'm dating myself when it was printed.
Yeah, you would go in and be like, let me show you all my reviews, and you would just open a book. Bro, that's how I started. You'd open a book and be like, hey.
Okay, good.
Let me show you. Yeah. Hey, so Joseph Johnson says he wants help with that. So that's pretty cool. All right. So to be clear, I just want to be clear. Okay. Right now you have a beta tool that has this badge that will link the homeowner, if it's scanned or whatever, to the reviews of not just that tech, but the geographical location of where the tech is, and they can read reviews of neighbors in the general area. Is that what you're saying?
So we have the first part done. The first part is we have the ability to map reviews to that person. So let's say you're an employee and you have reviews of your own. We would be able to give you the ability to showcase your reviews within that portfolio. So when you tap the badge, it would showcase the reviews that you've earned, and it would actually use AI to synthesize the reviews into a couple words, so that we actually can make it simpler and easier for your customers is to read it at a glance. That's done, ready to go. We can start using that tomorrow. The next generation of this V2 is going to be the ability for you to showcase reviews from neighbors. Now, it does take a little bit of mapping for that. So in other words, if we have to have the database of your company in order to map the reviews to that address, so that we can say, here's the customer that wrote that review, and here's the geo address, and then we can bring those two things together. So we would obviously have to work with the company
right now,
to pull that.
So right now you have the ability right this very second that if somebody had reviews and they were a tech for a company, they could go and say, read my reviews and look at what people have to say about me. That's already ready to go.
That's done. Has the AI summary in it. It's ready to go.
HVAC Tactical, by the way, Mike. So, and forgive me, Ben, because I know you're famous in the HVAC world. Mike's head down, always at work. HVAC Tactical he's revolutionizing this industry in general. I mean, his award show is like nothing you've ever seen. It's a red carpet event for HVAC, the HVAC business. I mean, he's got an apparel line, a magazine. And I'm dropping an episode with him. I can't wait till I drop it. And he told me I don't even have to edit it. He told me I don't even have to edit it. I'm so happy. But he says, Mike, that's genius. People trust their neighbors' reviews. Super cool. Joseph says, I'm a tech and I'd like to know more about that. Okay. Very, very cool. Sounds like a cool resource, for someone looking for a new company as a part of their resume too. Yeah. That's HVAC Install Her. And I'm sorry, HVAC Install Her. I know you nominated somebody for the bag. So I do appreciate it. But I didn't see you earlier on. So Brent says he's in Denton. There you go. Okay. So this is actually really very cool, Mike. Okay. So you have the tool ready to go. The reviews are ready to go. I know you preliminarily told me this, but I'm actually pretty excited about this. I kind of like it. So somebody comes in, they scan the badge goes, here's all my reviews. Check out what I do. Can you imagine what that does for trust? And I know you thought about this, but think about the trust, right? You're walking into a house, you're a technician, right? They don't know you from Adam. So you got to create that trust. Yeah, you could talk to them for a while, of course, right? But now it's like, hey, check it out. Now, how far off are we from the geolocation? Like, how far off are we from like saying like, here's like what my company's like in a general area, here's the reviews of just my, now, not even necessarily for that technician, but let's say for the company, can you geolocate reviews from your platform? Can you geolocate just reviews from that company right now?
Yeah, we already have. It's not perfect because it doesn't blend together. So we have the thing called Buzz Maps that we built after I had that ride along with the $9 million guy. So we have the ability to actually showcase reviews. You can send a link to a customer of, thank you for, giving us an option to provide services for you. Here's a link of some of your neighbors who've used us before and their reviews. So we already have that. And so but what I want to do in the next 30 days or so, 60 days maybe, is build a simple tab where it says nearby, where it'll filter reviews, not necessarily your reviews, but the company's reviews. So you can showcase nearby reviews. And then
so what's the geolocation right now? Like if I said, okay, here's all my reviews in a geographical location. You're saying you already have that. It's already enabled, right? Mm-hmm. So is it too wide? Is that the deal right now?
No, it's just, we haven't built it into the actual badge. So like when you tap the badge, you're just seeing the reviews.
So on the platform, like if the company subscribes to ReviewBuzz, it's already there.
It's already there, yeah.
Yeah, it's already, which I knew that because I knew that was part of it like 10 years ago. So, but I didn't, okay. So you're trying to create the scan of the badge and then it comes up with a nearby button where you're like, not only can we show you my reviews, but I can show you reviews of my company nearby. So 2 tabs, and that's all you need, just nearby.
Correct.
Or like, even if you're like, oh yeah, show me like, I want to see how you are in like some other location. You know what I mean? Like it'll hit a nearby button and like a total button. So how far?
And I think the third thing we're going to develop too, just real quickly, while it's on my mind, I think I'll be curious about, because there's technicians on this call. Again, back to the $9 million a year guy. When I was with him, he would always stay, whatever the customer was kind of leaning towards, he'd be really hone in on that part of the job. So for me, I'm wondering from the technician's perspective, if they're in a customer's home and maybe they're installing, a special system that, is very unique. If they had the ability to showcase reviews from someone else who installed that same kind of a system, would that be helpful to them? Because, there's always different types of, obviously many different types of HVAC systems that maybe some people would be more partial to want to know more about customers that actually had that same system installed in their home.
Yeah. Totally get it. I think the problem that I see with that is like, you can do so much in general. Like you can go out in so many ways once you have all the data. It's like, when is kind of enough, right? It's like,
Yeah.
And I know that with a lot of companies, they try to keep it as simple as possible, right? They try to hone in.
Well, as an example, I guess what could be, if you broke it into 2 parts, service and installation, right? So if you want to show your customers all the service calls you've done, or just the installation jobs you've done.
And like, what's the most common thing that people have gone with, or whatever the case may be. That's actually pretty cool. Well, I love it. I mean, and it's very rare, by the way, if anybody, and I know there's a lot of people here that have listened to a bunch of podcasts that I've done. And I very rarely ever let anybody talk about what they're doing in their, like, literally, I just don't do it. I really, no, Mike, I'm not kidding you. Like, I don't do it because I never want things to turn into a commercial, but I am so intrigued. And I think this is such a cool tool that I'm like, totally like, I'm enthralled by it. I think it's really cool. It's probably the most useful thing that I can think of, because we live in a society. Okay. And we all know this, right? Where people are fickle, and the quicker you can create that trust, the better off you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be. And at the end of the day, you want your customers to trust you. What you don't want to do is you don't want to recommend some repairs to a customer, okay, or a project to your customer, and then have them second guess you because they're like, you know what, I don't know if I trust this person. So you're instilling instant trust in that individual, because you're like saying, hey, I'm super ethical. I do things the right way. Look at all my reviews. Look at your neighborhood, and I've done all my reviews. This is me. And so I think it's a really good touch point, man. I can't think of a thing that in general that, and I wish you were paying me, because I really do. I wish you were paying me, because it'd be really cool, but I do agree with it.
Well, I mean, I think what we can do is let's get some guys to actually jump in. I want to make them successful. I don't need to charge, for their license. So if a technician's on this that wants it because you're tied to Everett, I'll hook you up for at least a year, probably, longer than that. So I don't want you to feel like, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to help you. Like, literally, just understand this as an operator of this business, my options are to I can market my company, or I can actually make success stories, right? And I'd much rather have success stories. And if you are a kind of guy that really cares about your craft, cares about your career, and really cares about your customer, I want to align with you, because if I can basically help you earn more money, and you tell that story, that's what's going to put both of us on the map.
I love it. We got a couple questions here. Okay, so Esco HVAC goes, how do you balance learning the business of HVAC and the technical side? I'm going to answer this, Mike. I'm going to answer this because I've done both. Okay, you do both. You do both. You don't have to balance it. You can be amazing as a technician and in your craft, and you can be amazing at building your business and creating connectivity with your customers. You can do both. In fact, I talked about this today, earlier on. In fact, you can actually get really good at your craft and then build great trust with your customers, which then feeds your business and helps you create trust so that your business actually does better because you gain more customer trust. And gaining more customer trust because you were great at your craft feeds your business and makes it and expands your horizons. Sam Andrew says he was here from the Uncensored podcast last night. Sam, thank you. So I've done my, since AHR, like my run of these podcasts, and I got invited to be on the HVAC Uncensored podcast last night. So Sam, appreciate you, man. Tactical says he's going to take you up on that, by the way. Get in contact with Ben. There's no better person to get connected in this industry right now than Ben Poole. I will give you Ben, if you're okay. I'm going to give Mike your contact information. You guys get connected. I think it's a it's a good match. Joseph Johnson says sign me up. Sign me up, Mike. So Joseph, I'll get in contact with Mike. Mike, I should probably put your I'm going to put your contact information in the.
Yeah, please. Mike at ReviewBuzz. Once you get a hold of me, I'll give you my personal cell number and we can chat. Because at the end of the day, I think, like, here's the raw truth, right? Here's the raw truth. We're a small company still. We never had investors. We don't have a ton of money. We're just like a lot of these small companies, just, getting through it day by day. I think what I have the ability to do right now as a small company is that I want to help, and I want to prove this works. And the truth is, I don't have enough people like one-on-one, like I'm talking to you right now, that actually can understand what I'm trying to communicate, because we're working through companies and they communicate to the technicians. Like, I'm bypassing that right now. I'm talking right to the source, which is my dream, honestly. Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the technicians are my customers. They're the ones using my app every single day, not the owners who pay me. So, like, if I can help you, like, you're helping me. The whole Jerry Maguire, help me, help you, help me.
And then there was that other part where he was like, "Show me the money, show me the
about, baby." Yeah, exactly.
That's good, man. I got you, Mike at reviewbuzz.com for those that are on audio. Mike at reviewbuzz.com. Couldn't be easier. Okay, so we've done a lot of we've done a lot of talking. I think this conversation is great, but I have to ask the same thing I ask on every episode. Okay, so I have to. What is one customer? You were in the field for 20 years, man. What is one customer interaction, one call you ran? Could be with an employee as an employer. I'm okay with that. That lives with you, that it was so profound in nature that throughout your life, it has lived with you since that day and has made a profound impact in your life. And I'd like to know what that is. Like, where every day you sort of think about that interaction.
Well, I lean towards comedy, right? I think things that are funny are worth telling. And this isn't a profound moment, but it was a funny moment. So I think we can go with that if it's okay.
Yeah. I've had people put funny moments. Yeah.
Okay. So we had obviously you're going to hear a story about reviews because that's kind of my space. But so we had a customer that was really upset, just like the one earlier, right? Same sort of story, really upset with us, very angry. We didn't do the job right, she said. And anyways, instead of me going out to the customer's home like I typically did, I wanted to really be a good leader and really see how my team empower them to actually solve this themselves. So when the negative review came in, I said, "Hey guys, we're going to try this differently. I want you to solve this. So, okay, we're going to meet every day until this is resolved." So every day we'd meet, and the next morning after I gave them that direction, they kept calling them. It's like I keep calling, and the lady keeps hanging up on me. She won't even talk to me. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like there's still room to maneuver here. What else can we do? And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. What do we possibly could do?" She's hanging up on us. I'm like, "Well, let's just go out there." "You mean go out there unannounced?" And I'm like, we have to, right? We have to talk to her. We have to, find a way to solve this problem. So we always had a gift basket, like these ready gift baskets, because you always get negative reviews, and you have to have a way to remedy the problem by bringing them a nice coffee gift basket. You get on Amazon, whatever. So we had that ready to go. He went out there. I told him very specifically. I said, "Look, when you get there, call me until once the mission, you give this gift, I want to know for sure before you leave that you've given her the gift. So he gets there, and apparently he knocks on the door, and she recognizes who he is, and she slams the door in his face. And then he calls me, look, this is what just happened. She slams the door in my face. Oh, nothing left more to do here. I go, yes, you have to go back one more time. He's like, Mike, what if something happens to me? And I'm like, Joe, don't worry. We have workman's comp. You're going to be fine. He didn't think that was very funny, but I thought it was hilarious. So he did. He was a warrior. He went back and he knocked again. Luckily, the husband answered the door this time, and he accepted the gift basket reluctantly. And before he got back to the shop, he was, I was so excited because she literally responded with like, it's actually, I wrote a book. It's the whole story is in the book. And she wrote back just everything that happened, that she didn't want to talk to us. She hung up on us, that we showed up. She slammed the door in our face. We still persisted. And she's just so absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of effort we made that she absolutely would recommend us and try us again. So like, you never would expect that experience. In fact, that experience happened on Facebook on review. And I could have easily at the time just deleted the review, because reviews on Facebook used to be deletable. But I wanted to be organic and authentic. I didn't want to be fake. So I'm like, no, we're going to solve every review regardless if I have the capacity to delete it or not. And, I think to me, again, I'm a little bit on my soapbox here, but to me, that's the best review is being able to convert those negative reviews into good ones. So yeah. I hope that helped. I hope that's worthy of.
I love the turnaround. So for me, when somebody says, "Oh, this is a really difficult customer," like, yeah, this guy's such a pain in the ass, I'm like, give it to me. Give it to me. And I get a sense of like, I am going to turn this around. I promise you. I will make a friend. I'll figure it out. I'll identify his personality type. I'll do all sorts of things. And I will literally go, I promise you. I want to tell, okay. So for those that don't know, by the way, I'm still like in the field. I'm in a different sort of role, but I still go out into the field. I still design stuff. Anyway, okay. I literally went to an 11,000 square foot house this week to custom design a generator. Okay. I got certified in generators like 12 years ago. This is my core business now. Okay. Is generators. Okay. I literally, the guy was like off his rocker. I'm talking, he came in, he's like, I don't have the fucking time for this. Blah, 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 blah. But yet he requested that we come out there. But for some reason, he couldn't be him. He just couldn't fucking be bothered. Blah, blah, blah. Right. His wife was the nicest. She was like, do you want some water? Do you want this? Do you want that? Now I'm from, originally I'm from Jersey. Right. This woman happens to be from Jersey. We're hitting it off. Bah, bah, bah. Yeah. This, that, the other thing. Right. Well, come to find out, okay, that she's like, being really nice to me, but she keeps talking about how, she's like, you've never really dealt with never really dealt with him before. He's the keeper of the keys. He's the keeper of the keys, blah, 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 whatever it was. And they had a property manager, guy, okay, that lived on the property that took care of everything. And he's like, oh, you don't know what you're dealing with. You've had so many people here and you have no idea what you're dealing with. Well, let me tell you something, okay? Because I knew this guy was like, he was a bulldog driver, right? Well, the wife, I was putting everything together. This is 11,000 square foot house. This is not like a small project. So I go, you know what? It's probably a good idea. Let me get him back in the, let me get him, I got to talk. I got to figure this out. I got to talk to him, right? The wife goes out there. I hear him like all the way down the hallway, like hemming and hawing or whatever. And I hear her, because I made such a good impression on her because she was on my side. She's like, you got to stop. You need to be a good person and a good Christian. Okay. Be a good Christian. Okay. And she's saying, there's a nice man out there and he's doing blah, 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 blah. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, I knew, like, I have an advocate here. I have made my bond. I have made my friend, and I knew that she held the key to the castle, right? He comes, I swear to God, it was almost like tail between the legs, walks out, like, he's like, well, show me where everything's going to go and what's going to happen. Just that alone was like, I win. I won. And I don't mean like I won the sale. I just mean like I knew, right? And before even going out there, like it was like everybody was like, don't, this guy, forget about it. You're not going to deal with this guy. But hey, you never know. You never know. You got to win people over. You got to win their trust. All right. We're going to wind down. Mike, is there anything else that you would like to say, that you would like to talk about while we are going to be wrapping up here?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously a lot to my story I didn't get a chance to get into. We kind of went down this rabbit hole.
We're already at it. We're already at an hour. Well, you can set up another. We can set up another episode. We talk about your story. We didn't get a chance because we have the bag, but we can certainly, man. I'd love to.
Yeah, we can do it again. It was.
I think there's other people here that would actually. I guess there's other people here that would also like to hear your story, and connect with some people, and people are going to email you and, see what's what.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'd love to get back on, and then maybe, it sounds like the community you've built is wonderful for me because, like I said, I work mainly with companies, and then I got to work through their managers, and I don't get to talk to the end user. And so, like, this platform is fantastic. So we can set up another one, more of a mastermind, maybe just really get interaction from them and really understand. Because, I mean, we already got a few guys that are saying that they're ready to go with this. I'd love to be able to work with them for the next, 30, 45 days, 60 days, whatever it takes, and then come back and tell their story. Let them tell their story of how they're leveraging, customers' reviews to help them being, the best in their industry. I mean, the one thing I will say, this is super, important, and I think we all are very aware of AI. What's the next 3 years look like? There's a lot of change, more change than we've ever seen in our lifetime will happen over the next 3 years. And to me, I think this is going to really give, the best people the best opportunity, because no longer can you hide. People aren't going to buy just from brands. They're going to buy from the people within the brands. And I've been saying this for a long time, and I've always kind of a little bit too early, I think. And at the end of the day, I believe fundamentally that people want to work with good people. And it's really hard to see who the good people are. But with AI today, it's going to give you, like, when you actually do an AI, all of you, I'm sure you guys already use ChatGPT. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but ChatGPT has actually surpassed Google as far as the amount of traffic it's getting. Google's still number one as far as search, but it's definitely got it. They got a big challenge on their hands. So for me, if you really want to be like an earner, like the $9 million a year man, investing in yourself to generate reviews for yourself is a guaranteed path to like you said, they're going to be more often to be asked for, guaranteed to be have predictable revenue for themselves. They're also going to have an advantage because if they start using tools like mine, where they can actually showcase their reviews to their customers about themselves, and then use AI to actually synthesize that information, so it's easy to actually communicate back to the customer in form of, here's my reviews, here's the customers that are in my area, and here's reviews that are relevant to your actual installation that we're going to be doing. To me, I think that's wonderful. So yeah, I think there's a lot more we can do conversation wise. I didn't get a chance to tell the story of the early days when I worked out of my closet, single dad, 3 kids, ages 3, 7, and 8. There's some crazy moments that I had that I can share that, anyone who started a new company, I can tell you, I've been through some pretty dark moments. And I think those are the kind of stories that I'd love to share, but obviously if we're out of time, we could do it.
You know what? I don't think it's, the dark moments thing. I'm going to do an episode on, I had somebody reach out to me actually about mental health awareness. And I think it's important to do. I think it's an important episode, and I'm coordinating it now. And Dude, I do. I appreciate you, man. I do think, I try to keep the conversation to like, about an hour or so, but yeah, dude, if you have anything to share now, man, I'd love to hear it. I mean, Joseph is like, let's hear it. He wants to hear it. So you know what, Joseph, if no one else stays on, fine. Joseph's going to hear the story. Go ahead, Joseph. Go ahead, Mike. Let's hear it.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I just was going to get into just the moments where, bear in mind, I was 23 years old when I started my company. I had no idea really what I was doing. I had no business being in business, but I had literally, I was making $12 an hour and I had 3 kids to take care of. I had to find another way. And in fact, for the few beginning of when I started before I started my company, I was working, weekend warrior style, right? Nights, every day. I was so crazy because I remember working construction all day and going out and doing, service calls. I was doing a thing called backflow testing. Not sure if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got in early on that. And I was able to do that after hours. Right. And, I was able to earn more money after hours than I did during the day, which was wonderful. Right. And then eventually I was able to do enough of that where I was earning more after hours and weekends than I was during my day job. So that's how I kind of converted and flipped and actually started my business. But I still was, super young, 23 years old. I can't even believe I made it. Honestly, I'm just blown away that I was able to figure it out. But I guess when you're in those moments where you have no choice, right? It's either survive or die. You're going to make it work, right? So like, I guess for me, there was so many moments where I was so behind on my bills. I was so like, I didn't think there was a way out because I didn't know what I was doing wrong. Like I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made on looking back at my 20 years of being an HVAC owner is I was really, I always thought revenue was sexy. And when you go to these mastermind groups or these best practice groups, you get at the bar, everyone's going to tell you how many trucks they have, right? Everyone's going to tell you how much revenue they bring in, but no one talks about how profitable they are. No one talks about the money they lose, and that's the thing that I also realized too, is it's not how much you make, it's how little you lose ultimately. Cause I thought it was a genius. Some months we make $100,000 in profit. And then they hit February, March, and April, lose 40 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand each month. Before you knew it, you're upside down. So like being in a fetal position, I swear I've done that so many times where I was in the fetal position, like laying in bed, like how am I going to even make it to the end of the week? Payroll's coming up, all these bills are coming at me. I'm in California. I'm being sued by everybody, my employees, my customers. I mean, it was brutal to surviving all that. So like, yeah, I can go deep into the dark side because I've been through.
So what did you do, man? How did you turn it around? Because you sold your business eventually, right? Like you had an HVAC business for 20 years or whatever it was. Like, what did you do?
I mean, the thing that saved me without any question was finding a best practice group. And I don't know if it's okay for me to plug the group because Nexstar. So
yeah,
when
Nexstar's great. Yeah.
I found when I was joined Nexstar, like that was the game changer because I met my best friends today are the guys that are in that group. And like literally,
I was in there.
Oh, were you?
It's incredible. It's an incredible group. But you gotta do it. Like the thing is application. You have to apply what is applicable for your business. And one thing that I like about that organization is they don't actually tell you like what to charge or what to do. They more poke and prod and say, what should you be doing? What makes sense from a business perspective, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I had an opposite. If it's okay for me to push back on that, not saying that it's like that. Maybe now it's changed. I'm sure it's big now. They have like hundreds of employees. They have thousands of members. When I joined, it was like 300 members. There was an old guy named Frank Blau. I don't know if you know who this guy is, but he is literally the godfather of flat rate. He was one of the first guys to create the flat rate book. And he grabbed me. I remember, and he was like in his. I'm not sure if he's still alive anymore, but this guy was. He was the founder of Nexstar, the founding member of Nexstar. Frank Blau. If you don't know who he is, you got to learn about the guy. But I remember I was at the group and they would introduce me to him because I was a new member, and he literally grabbed me and he wanted to know what my billable rate was. Like, what's your billable rate? How much are you charging per hour? And he literally found a whiteboard. I don't know where he found, a easel board, and he made me write out all my overheads. Like, he made me write it all out. And he's like, "You're charging too little." Like, I lied. I think I was charging I think I was charging $300 an hour or something like that. And you're not charging enough. How are you going to retire? You're thinking about retirement. He goes, how do you have the right benefits for your people so they can actually thrive in your business? And he just really broke it down for me. And he woke me up, really woke me up. And that's when I realized that I thought I was charging enough. And, in this business, there's such inefficiencies because you're driving around half the time. There's windshield time that just takes away from a lot of your billable hours. I mean, there's so much to keep up with. I'm sorry, I got some people walking behind. What the hell's that? I'm sorry.
Is everything okay?
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Well, that's a first for sure.
Sorry.
This reminds me of the
internet.
episode.
I have no internet, and my guys here looking at the internet. And I'm sorry.
That reminds me of the time I was on Misfits of HVAC, and I was on a boat, by the way, and I had to keep moving. I was literally doing an interview while I was on a boat, but I was tied up with like 6 boats, and I had to go from boat to boat and be like, "Hey, dude, we're leaving." I'd be like, "Okay, let me get off this boat and go to the next one." Anyway. Yeah. So Nexstar really helped you out. You got to see the light. But what happened in your personal life though? Because you had a lot of tribulations. You had a lot of things happen to you. You had a lot of things go wrong. You had a lot of things. You had to restart. Right?
Yeah,
restarted. Yeah.
I definitely my love life has been a bit of a challenge. I've had some bumps in the road. I got married when I was 18 years old. Mom said, "You got your girlfriend pregnant? You're getting married." So I'm 18 years old. You should see the photos of me, and at the wedding. I was like scared. I didn't even know I had a choice. I was told to get married, literally, not kidding you. So and then we divorced at 23. Surprise, surprise, right? I mean, it wasn't like,
oh wait, a marriage from when you were 18 years old didn't. Oh, wait, a marriage of 18 years old. Sam, hold on. Sam Andrews said, "Oh my God, that boat guy was you." Yes, that boat guy was me. So the episode on it, pretty popular episode on Misfits of HVAC. Yes, that was me. I was on a boat. Yeah. What a flex, he says. So yes, Mike, sorry, didn't mean to steal the spotlight from you. Yeah, but I am the host of this podcast, so I can.
It's okay. My heart's, okay. I'm okay now. I'm whole now.
So you're married and divorced at 23, but tell everybody. Hold on. How old's your youngest kid?
He's 30.
No, you're
34.
34 is your oldest kid.
Well, that's my oldest. My oldest is 34. My first is 34. 33 and then 29. And I'm proud that my youngest out of the 3 is got her master's. She's getting married next month, in fact. And the other
good,
2,
man. You look good.
Yeah, well, I believe in that. I mean, I don't know if you know, I have an 18-month-old too, right? Did I tell you about that? I'm trying to be like
2-year-old. Life is renewed.
18-month-old.
Life is renewed. 18 months old, bro. That's crazy.
I'm trying to be like De Niro. He's 80 and he's got a brand new baby. So I'm fixed. I'm all about it. I can't have any more.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it, bro. That's amazing, by the way. Congratulations. God bless with that, man, dude. Having a kid at that age, there's a level of wisdom that you can pass down to that youngest child, though, that the other kids didn't get the chance to have, right? Because it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so true. Cause like when you have, kids at a later age, you get a chance to do it over again and do it better, and
hopefully you do it better.
100%. Like,
yeah,
I feel bad. Honestly, I do everything I can to, try to make up for, being 18 years old, having kids that young. They didn't have an easy life, compared to how these two have now. My older kids, they have everything. They go to private school. There's never a moment where they don't have what they want or need almost. So
what would you say, maybe we'll end with this. What would you say to your youngest self that started in this industry and didn't know shit about shit, aside from the Nexstar thing? What would you say to yourself?
Man, just believe in yourself and ask for help. Just don't doubt yourself. That I think one of my favorite lines is, doubt kills the warrior. There's been so many times where I remember being at a dinner when I started ReviewBuzz, and I was around all these data scientists, and it was like a mastermind for software companies. And I felt like such an idiot because here I am, this blue collar guy, just fell into the software space, and I'm surrounded by these highly intelligent people that I just thought they were like, the Elon Musk kind of people, right? And I literally wanted to crawl out of the room. And, at the end of dinner, they were all like bragging about like me, who was, this guy that came out of, as a contractor, who now owns a software company, who's self-made, didn't raise any money. I built ReviewBuzz, through my other company. I funded it through my other company, so like, and they were like, thought that was a cool story. So like, me thinking I was not relevant or not good enough to be at that table. I've had so many moments like that in my life. And I just say, maybe it was because I had a dad that was a Marine and he always beat me down to build me up, and so I always had a little bit of a challenge of feeling confident enough to be, am I worthy enough? So like, as whoever is out there listening, and you believe in yourself, man, you can do it. And there's people like you, that want to help, like me, that want to help, like anytime, anywhere. If you need to talk to somebody, you need a connection. Like, I can't tell you how many people that were there for me that I just want to give back the way they gave me. So that would be what I would say is believe in yourself, ask for help.
Love it. Dude, amazing conversation. There's no doubt you will be back on here. I appreciate everybody that stuck around. Actually, I got to tell you this, the audience, if you want to say it from live, sometimes the live stream is good, sometimes the live stream is not. But man, you engaged everybody because almost everybody stuck around for the whole time. So, dude, I really appreciate you, man. Guys, for those that didn't get the email address, it's mike@reviewbuzz.com. Mike at ReviewBuzz. You can go to reviewbuzz.com. I think it's just reviewbuzz.com. You can see what they do. And reach out. You guys can also reach out to me if you want to. I can connect you with him. And then also, I definitely got to get you connected with HVAC Tactical, because I think you guys definitely need to have a conversation. So very, very cool. Probably a longer episode than I would have thought. So because of that, obviously, I will also say this, guys. I'm super proud to announce that I actually I got a big time podcast sponsor this week, which is really cool. I've had people approach me, many people, but I had to find the right fit. I've turned down a bunch of sponsors, and so because I need to make sure that this stays, the conversation, that this stays very, very pure. And I don't want to take on a sponsor that I don't truly believe in, but this is actually a really cool sponsorship. I'm very cool to announce it in the next couple days, and more to come. So I'm super, super happy about that. Rock and roll. Mike, thank you so much. We're going to sign off here, and I will see you